Hello, career thought leaders. Excited to see you all today. We've been very formal for the last few weeks doing our trends. And so today we're going to be the opposite, and we're going to take it down a notch and really just talk about where we go from here. So this is one of the topics that came up when we were talking through Career Jam and kind of at the end. So what do we do with all of this information? And it just brought up for me that this is a great time of year to really think about what we want out of next year. And you've probably seen a lot of the memes I'm seeing on Facebook and even on LinkedIn about, okay, we're ready for 2021. And, I'm going to make 2021 my year, just like everybody was going to make 2020 their year. And there are always unexpected things that come up. So, what can we do and what can our clients do to really make it our year and make it our last 6 weeks of 2020 as well? So, feel free to say hello if you're here. Love to see who's here and say hello. And then also, as we're talking about this, I'd love to hear what kinds of goal setting tips and strategies you use with your clients and how you carve out the time to make sure that you're planning. So the intro to this session was, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. And that's a challenge to us, right? To really think about, how am I going to do things differently and move forward in a different way into 2021. And Martin says he's ready for 2022. I'm already planning for 2022 because I'm excited that I think we'll finally be able to have an in-person conference again in 2022. But let's start with 2021. So if we're thinking about that and moving forward, just wanted to share two different strategies that I use when I'm goal setting. One that I use, and actually one that was suggested by our board member, Ruth Winden, that I'd heard of before, but I want to share with you. So the first one is want, need, will. So what are the things that I want to do, I'm really excited about, and have great ideas, have all these ideas, right? I'm sure we all do, and our clients do too, right? They have all these things that they want to do. So let's get them down on paper. And then a list of the things that I feel like I need to do. And there's a little less energy around those, right? Those are the things that I feel like, oh, I got to do this. And that, getting all of those down. And then will is choosing. And some of you might do this on a weekly basis. Some of you might do it on a daily basis. How do we help our clients really plan and prioritize the things that they want to do for their careers, or even if we're working with them on a bigger scope for their lives? So hi, Marianne, good to see you. So in the book Career Distinction, and that's kind of an oldie but a goodie with Kirsten Dixon and William Arruda, Career Distinction, that was kind of the foundation of the Certified Personal Brand Strategist program that we teach. And the exercise in there was called the Mother of All Goals. And it had you write down, like, what are all your goals? Personal, professional, career. Just get them all down there and see what they are. And the end of the year seems like a really good time to do that. Brainstorm, what are all the things that we want to do? It could get a little lengthy or overwhelming. So I might just say, okay, in the next year, what are all those things that I want to do? And then maybe I've got a 5-year list or whatever, depending on how much of a planner your clients are. But I like to start with that want, need, will, and it could go across all those different areas. I've been working with my productivity coach, and one of the things that is challenging for me is that when I write things down, I tend to get overwhelmed. But when I don't write them down, it's kind of that false sense of not knowing, because I still have them rattling around in my head and they're still overwhelming me. They're just obtuse and not specific. So getting them all down and writing them down might be a good thing. So what do you do for yourself, or what do you do for your clients to carve out that time where you can really think more strategically, more forward about what do you want in the next year? What do you want for your career? What do you want for your business or your practice? How do you take that time and carve it out to sit it aside? And as I posted on LinkedIn today, I know this time of year can get really busy for us. So it may not be the best time of year for us to do this, but if you do set aside some time, I'd love to hear how you do that. Hi, Kathleen, good to see you. Happy to have you here. So that's my first thing, want, need, will. The second one is something that Ruth Winden brought up when we were debriefing our Career Jam learnings, which is keep, start, stop. And keep, start, stop is brilliant, especially after you've learned something, but you could even do it at the end of a year or thinking about next year. What do you want to keep doing? So that taps into our strengths, right? What has gone well this year? What do you want to keep doing? What's felt like, wow, this is a good strategy. Maybe I even came up with it during the pandemic because things were bad and I had to think outside of the box. But I'm going to really recognize that this is one of the great things that I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it. So keep isn't a thoughtless process of, oh, I'm just going to keep doing that, but it's really acknowledging that this is something that I'm doing that's working, and I want to keep doing that. Then you've got the start. Those are based on new things you're learning or new things that you think your customers or clients need in the new year. What do you want to start doing to help them? And of course, when we had Career Jam, there are a million different starts, that new things that people wanted to do, new services they wanted to add based on the trends that they're hearing. And so then we've got to think about, okay, what am I going to stop doing? Because none of us have more time, I'm guessing. If you have more time, please send it my way. But if we don't have more time, then we've got to figure out, what am I going to stop doing? And I've talked about this before, but the process for deciding what you want to stop doing. Can you automate it, delegate it, eliminate it? If you can't do any of those things, then you got to do it. But if you think through those things you maybe want to stop doing, could you automate it? Does it need to be done? Maybe you can eliminate it. Can you delegate it? And as we're going through our own careers, our own lives, those are important questions to ask. And it's also a great tool to teach our clients when they're having trouble feeling overwhelmed or feeling like they've got too much to do. So after we get down those items that maybe we want to do, our keep, stop, start, or our want, will, need, want, need, will, then we could think about, okay, so how do I prioritize these, and what do I want to do with this? And this is where the gifts part. So today we were talking about goals, gifts, and gratitude. So this is where the gifts part comes in. And this is thinking about how we can do things from that place of strength. So how can I use my strengths to make myself better at that? How can I capitalize on my strengths to do that really well? Because that also then gives me a little bit more motivation when I can tap into, how does this light me up? How does this make me better by doing this? And it's one of those ways that we can prioritize, but also motivate ourselves to do some of those tasks that maybe we need to do, or to achieve well some of those things that we want to do. We can help our clients make sure their want to do's are really critical for their career path. Yeah, and prioritize those and figure out how they're going to put all those together. Thank you, Arlene. So that gifts piece is really connecting what I want to do or need to do with my strengths. How can I do this coming from a place of using my strengths? Or maybe I've got someone else that could help me based on their strengths, and that's not something that I have to do. Just depends on what that task is. So that's the gifts piece, and to look at the strengths that we have and the things that we've learned even in this year, and to really capitalize on those and not lose, right? Whatever it is that you have figured out how to do this year. I know we have colleagues who've just done amazing things this year to keep their businesses afloat, or to homeschool their kids at the same time. You have learned and grown and done amazing things this year. So how could you take those learnings and those strengths that you've developed and move them forward to next year, even though hopefully we won't have the same challenges that we'll be dealing with. So then the third one is gratitude. And this is really fascinating, that your brain cannot feel gratitude and fear at the same time. So if we're feeling like the unknown is not something we want to think about right now, and this is, of course, big theme here in the U.S. right now as we're coming up to our Thanksgiving, but just to remember that gratitude is so powerful neurologically, not just, it's not fluffy. It is a neurological mind shift, breaking patterns, when you stop and really think about what it is that you can be grateful for. And there's a ton of gratitude practices. I'd love to, if you want to share yours. Do you write down 3 things that you're grateful for at the end of the day, and whatever they might be, ways that we can consciously practice gratitude when we're in everyday life. So for me, the whole write 3 things down at the end of the day has never really worked. For some reason, it just didn't fit with my schedule, my life. But what I noticed, and part of this happened kind of organically, naturally, because my husband and I took 4 years to have kids. So at the very beginning, some of the things that might annoy other parents, I had a natural gratitude for. Whether that was, noises or stepping on toys, it was a reminder of the fact that this was something to be extremely grateful for. And I've tried to keep that mindfully, consciously in my head. And then I read an article, and what they called it was gratitude markers. So coming up with gratitude markers for ourselves, that when I see that or feel that or hear that, I'm going to remind myself to be grateful. And so even as kind of the new wore off and stepping on toys became a little bit less reminding me of gratitude, I'd say, oh, remember, that's a gratitude marker. That's a reason to be grateful. And we can set up people in our lives to be gratitude markers, so that when I look at that person, I remember to be grateful. What a powerful thing to do for the relationships in our lives. And that's really stuck with me, because it is something that I can do in the flow of every day. And like I said, it had kind of come naturally in a few areas anyways. So it just stuck with me, and it's really a natural thing for me to do. So some of you are sharing that you do morning and night gratitude. Thanks, Betsy, saying it out loud to yourself, and maybe even saying those things to someone in our lives, or even a pet, to say out loud that we're grateful for them. Have clients do career mantras, record them as voice memos, and listen to it every day. Excellent. Yeah. And that powerful piece of connecting to what it is that we're thinking and we're doing. And there's some other neuroscience behind that, but when we keep things front of mind, when we keep things in our conscious, if you will, we're also more likely to work towards them and act towards them and choose things that move us in that direction, maybe if we're not even thinking about it. So that gratitude practice, and of course that focus of mindfulness, can be very powerful. So when we're thinking about our goals, then connect to our gifts and how are we going to use our strengths and our talents, or the strengths and talents of others, to help us achieve those goals. And then the last thing is that gratitude, not just for the everyday things, but also remembering that gratitude comes back in at the end of the goal, to take the time to celebrate and remember when we've achieved that goal. It's one of the great things about writing your goal down, right? Then you get to celebrate when you cross it off or do whatever it is that you do. And that gratitude for achieving those goals then can help us keep moving forward to the next one. And we can often get stuck in the negative. It's natural for us as human beings to look at the negative evolutionally. So when we think about the positive and really focus there and celebrate those wins and practice gratitude, it helps us shift our mindset, be more motivated, and keep moving forward. So those were my 3 little points for you today. I hope that if you're in the US, you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're not in the US, I hope that everyone else talking about gratitude can be a positive thing for you, and help you think about that in your life too, as we all move towards the end of 2020. So we'll be back next week with some more trend talk. And if you have ideas of topics that we should cover or anything else, let me know. Oh, last thing, we are having our thank you. So every year I send out a thank you email. It includes a few free downloads and other little freebies. So if you're not on our newsletter list, or if you're on the list but you haven't been getting the newsletters, let me know, because we've been having trouble with our newsletter system getting caught in people's spam. I'd love to know if you're not getting it. And if you're not getting it and you want to sign up, you can go to our newsletter page and do that. But I'll look forward to seeing you back here on our Trend Tuesday.